what do I envision the perfect league to be based on, my experience with some of the clubs I didn't have the best experience with in comparison to the clubs that I've had the best experiences with. So, I started putting it together. I reached out to the people in the Bay Area that really believe in what I was doing. And I asked them to just help me bring this to life.
Joining us now, she's the founder and CEO of Women's Premier Basketball Association and the point guard for Team Jamaica. She's played ball in Egypt, Greece, Norway, Australia, France, El Salvador, Mexico, Canada, Spain, and Ireland. A 2025 Bay Area Host Committee Trailblazer Impact Award winner. She's got pink hair, fast feet, and a nasty crossover. It's Faatimah A. Hi, Faatimah.
Hey, Sarah. So great to be here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat. We've run into each other at so many events. And I've had so much curiosity about the WPBA, but we haven't had a chance to sit down and really talk about it. So this is a perfect time ahead of the combine that you're throwing. But before we get to that and before we get to the WPBA, I want to talk about your basketball roots. So tell me when you first fell in love with the game.
I think I would have to say maybe fifth grade. I ended up going to this park and wanted to make my basketball team at that time, and ended up meeting this girl that just had this amazing crossover, and I wanted to be just like her because it was kind of like she was that Allen Iverson, player that I grew up loving and watching and adoring. But I started to fall in love with the game more when I got to middle school, just because of basketball playing such an instrumental role in my life at that time. It helped me to really put things into perspective and to just see the game and just see life through a different lens. So that's probably when it all happened for me.
Yeah. Tell me about the role in particular that a Golden State Warriors camp you went to played in giving you just a safe, happy place to be a kid.
So, I try not to think of this as just a moment of weakness. At a point in my life, my family and I were living in a homeless shelter. And, if you've been in that type of situation, you know what it's like. And at that point in my life, I really just needed some sort of happiness. I needed a win. And the Golden State Warriors, they ended up giving all of the kids in the shelter that week scholarships to go to camp. Had no idea where I was going that week, but I just knew I wanted to get out of that place. So ended up pulling up to this camp. I had jeans on and I'm like, oh my God, we are playing basketball right now. Right. And it was just so beautiful because no one knew what I was going through, but they treated me like someone they cared about. And I think, those moments, that's why we play sports. We get to be around community. We get to have people pour into us. We get to have people just reaffirm what our value is. So that was that special moment for me that really helped me to put things into perspective.
And how old were you then?
God, 11.
Yeah, that's a tough age for that. I mean, it is fascinating to think about. And sometimes I have to be reminded by someone that a lot of what athletes experience throughout life, if you're playing sports your whole life, it's a constant affirmation when you're doing great. It's a constant adjustment to work on things and want to get better. It's an ability to take criticism in pursuit of greatness, in pursuit of being better. And there's a lot of people who kind of go through life without the good and the bad there. They are not being affirmed repeatedly by the fans or their coaches or their teammates. And they're also not really great at taking feedback in the goal of getting better at something because they're not used to it.
Yeah. And the game teaches us so many amazing things just with character building. That week alone, I was just like, oh my God, I can't get enough of this. So it got me to playing pickup after school. And I ended up getting a job, working in a food truck just so that I can have money to buy new basketball shoes. Cause it just taught me to invest in myself at that point,
Yeah. Yeah. And look where it took you. I mean, it really took you all over the world. I listed off all those countries. I need a couple memorable stories from your many stops. And I want you to start in El Salvador because the disconnect between, oh my God, I'm going to play professional basketball, and then what you arrived to find when you got there, probably pretty shocking.
It was. And I'm just I'm sorry, excuse my language, but I busted my ass that summer just so that someone could take a chance on me. Right. I'm going to camps. I'm going to clinics. I'm trying to play on teams. I'm traveling, around the country, trying to see, what opportunity is going to help me, lead me to my next opportunity. And, when you're in it and you kind of are figuring out what this new space looks like there's a lot of anxiety around it. But when I got that first call that someone was willing to pay me to play basketball and that they trusted me to like lead their team, it was the best feeling. Like, I can't explain the feeling, but it was probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. And then I get there, and mind you, like, I tell every player now, do research on where you're going. Cause I had no idea where El Salvador was. I just knew that I was about to go play basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my research. I'm like, okay. And then I get out there and I'm like, okay. Right. Like the first place we played in, I don't even think it had like a door, like an actual door on the house. So like they had to move us into a different, location. Right. And
well, and you were supposed to be alone, right? But you had a roommate in a room without a door. Like,
yes, like I'm living with my teammate, and it's great that we both got along and we were just like, let's make it through. Like, let's do whatever we need to do to make it through. Cause like, this is just one of those building blocks that are going to help us get to where we want to be. So that season, like, we really kept each other accountable, but like, it was tough, but I had kind of been through similar situations like this. So I was just like, I'm just going to get through this. Like, we didn't even have our hot water. Like,
wow.
Yeah. But I'm like, I'm going to be able to get through this because I know like this isn't my destination. Like, I'm meant for bigger and better things. And I'd already gotten prepped before even leaving from other pros that are like, hey, you need to kill this league so that you can make it into Europe. And that's exactly what I did. Like, I was a second leading scorer in the conference. I think I was averaging like 30 points per game. The team had never been to playoffs, like helped the team go to playoffs. But like, I grinded it out because I loved it so much and I wanted it so much. And I could see the trajectory of where I was going to be if I just handled business at that time.
I didn't read much about your college hoops experience. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. I will say I played for a good amount of championship type of teams. Like, maybe out of the 5 schools I went to, 4 out of the 5, we always made it to, tournament time, like, or we won conference. So like, I'd always been a part of like winning culture. So I knew that like what was expected of me, whether I was playing or not, I needed to give 150% because when my name was called, like, I was going to do my best to do whatever I needed to do so that I could show the coach that, they should keep me on the floor.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of
5 different colleges.
5. Yeah. So went to JUCO. I went to City College of San Francisco my first year. We did well. We ended up being, second in the state, state runner up, won conference that year, ended up going to Santa Rosa Junior College after that, then got a full ride to go play at Texas A&M International. That one was tough because I'd never really been out of like the state of California. I mean, I'm from Toronto, but like we hadn't traveled, while I was growing up.
And you moved to the Bay Area pretty young.
Yeah, when I was like 5. So kind of like the Bay was just really like all I knew. And like that year was really, really tough for me. And I feel like that's kind of when I started understanding like what depression was.
Okay.
But I had some really amazing teammates that just really helped me like stay in it. But just the way that I am, I'm like, okay, I need to get this year back because I'm trying to get somewhere. And I realized after doing my research that in Canada, they give you 5 years of eligibility as opposed to 4 years of eligibility in NCAA. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to get my year back. I'm going to transfer over. Ended up transferring to a school over in York. Ended up having to redshirt that year because my credits didn't transfer over from school, but ended up finding the school that I really wanted to be at after just kind of reintegrating myself into the Toronto area. And I went to Ryerson University. My coach, Carly Clark, she is the assistant coach for Canada basketball for the women's senior national team. So like, yeah, I was able to really, I was challenged a lot, right? But I think essentially that's what's allowed me to have the tough, like the thick skin that I have now because I was able to get through all of it and just keep pushing. Yeah.
Well, you had a goal, which was to play, and it took you to a number of stops before even all the countries that you went to. But you ball out in El Salvador, which allows you to get into some more professionalized leagues. Give me a good funny anecdote from Norway, Australia, Egypt, Greece, Mexico, one of those other places.
Oh my God. I was just talking about this earlier today. Like, I've been to some really like beautiful countries. Like Greece is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Norway, beautiful place, but does get depressing during the time of like, 3 months of darkness. But like, I really love the food while I'm there. I love being able to really immerse myself amongst the people there and just learn about the culture. But yeah, like every opportunity, it just helped me learn a lot more about myself, but just helped me to learn more about the game from a global lens, which allowed me to really like start putting into play, like, what do I want to create that will be able to help a lot of, these players that, might have been in my same situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's all building and growing towards creating something for folks like you that maybe don't have a straight shot to the WNBA, but want to keep playing. Speaking of keeping playing, you're 34 now?
34 years young, yeah.
34 years young. You hooped for Team Jamaica's 3x3 team last fall. Is there more playing for you on the horizon?
Absolutely. I mean, it's been tough, especially this last year with really investing into being an entrepreneur, being a CEO. So I've kind of had to like put my playing career a little bit, on the back burner. But last year it felt really good to be able to get back out there. And yeah, we've got Commonwealth Games coming up again in Scotland this year. And then I'll be back out there playing professionally for the upcoming season in the fall. Don't know where yet, but
okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere. The world knows Jamaican athletes a lot for track stars, soccer players, now bobsled, of course. But how big is the basketball there? Is there a lot of support for the team?
It's getting there. I think with the Bob and Rita Marley Foundation stepping in and really looking to pour into, the federation, they're now starting to see the value. And again, just with the amazing growth that's happening in women's sports, I'm hoping that they're pouring more into that as well. I know that, the men, they just hosted the FIBA qualifier over in Kingston. So I believe moving forward, they're going to put more time, energy, and resources into the women's basketball because we've got some talented up and coming players getting ready to graduate from university that are ready to, start representing.
And you got connected with Team Jamaica because of your mom's roots?
Yeah. So my mom's from Jamaica. Yeah. So, and that was a part of just like being able to understand being a pro in this space. Like there's certain loopholes. If you hold a European or just any type of citizenship for a country, like you can be considered a local or a Bosman player. And that allows you to now, instead of having to fight for these import spots, because some of these teams only allow like 1 to 4 imports, depending on what country you're playing in. Like Mexico, they can have, I played top league, like they had around like 6 of us on the team, right? That were considered import players. But if you're an actual not resident, but citizen of Mexico, like you don't have to fight 4 spots. If you're good and you can play, like they're going to pick you up. And that's the same thing for every other country.
Yeah. There's a lot of different leagues that have different rules around that people aren't aware of. Like you might have a couple great Americans, but only 2 of them can be playing at a time. So if one's injured, you can swap the other one in, but one might be sitting on the bench and they're a much better player than someone else. But it's because of those rules about how many imported players can be like rostered at a time. It's complicated. So you have played in just about every situation, setup, country, continent, and it causes you to start to think about what's missing. So tell me about the Women's Premier Basketball Association. And before we even get to what it is, like what inspired you to say, I want to create a whole damn league?
Oh my God. I was in Mexico playing at this time. But like even before then, I had really started building up my network and understanding just the landscape of women's basketball, especially at like the international level. And I can't tell you enough how many times I come back home during my off season and there's no place for us really to be able to play. Yes, there's a pro-am, but it's not helping you get to somewhere. And I have, players that are in college or, players that were cut from a pro team reaching out to me, asking me like, how are you still getting a job? Because it's just like, one, I wasn't highly recruited. Like my path isn't the traditional pathway, but somehow I'm still able to stay employed every single year, since I've graduated. But like, I understood that there were so many people in this space that were misinformed about what it takes to be a pro, the professionalism of being a pro, and just really understanding what it takes to also just build that longevity within your career. And at the time, it really just came to me like, I was in Mexico. I was like, I looked up the name first because I prayed on the name, dreamt about it, came into mind, went on GoDaddy. I was like, oh, it's available. Okay. So I'm like going down this rabbit hole of just like, okay, this is something. Now, what do I envision the perfect league to be based on, my experience with some of the clubs I didn't have the best experience with in comparison to the clubs that I've had the best experiences with. So, I started putting it together. I reached out to the people in the Bay Area that really believe in what I was doing. And I asked them to just help me bring this to life. And we put the league together. I'm in Mexico at the time, so I'm away for the first 5 weeks, but I'm facilitating and having people, help me out with just putting the stuff together. And I ended up receiving award from the Women of Courage by Congresswoman Jackie Spear. So I had $25,000 to play with. And I
amazing.
The timing of it was so clutch. And I appreciate them so much for just believing in me, because the year before I had applied for it and I didn't get the grant. And then the next year I applied for it and I got the grant. And it just kind of was just it made me think about the power of the universe. And sometimes you're not ready for that blessing at that time, but if you keep working, you're going to be ready for the blessing when it's ready. And that was that sign for me. So that first year we ended up helping, 10 athletes, especially the ones that have been off of the radar for so long, be able to get pro contracts for the first time and really
awesome,
turn their dreams into reality. So yeah, that's kind of the story about how we got started.
Yeah. So you started it in 2022 as a developmental league. So exclusively devoted to advancing women's basketball, creating a pipeline that allows players to either get to the WNBA, to Athletes Unlimited, to other top tier pro leagues around the world, kind of the gap between college and those professional opportunities, so that those who are just on the cusp keep playing, keep getting their name out there, and create this little ecosystem for folks to see, meet, network, etc. Also for coaches and officials, which is a great opportunity for folks like that too, who are trying to get those reps to move up as well. So tell me who's eligible to play in the league.
So we take players that are graduating seniors, and then we also have players in the league that are pro athletes, whether they have WNBA overseas experience to come back. And then we have a small chunk of players that are working professionals. So we have players that are lawyers, doctors, that can still compete at a high level, but they can't quit their day job. So they're here, showing their friends and family that they can still do both.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so 8 teams, 12 players per roster. Yeah. And it's pretty quick, just June to August?
Yes, June to August. I put it at that time because if players are away from the WNBA, it gives them the opportunity to kind of just get their mental right, but also figure out what their next steps are going to be. That way they can stay close to the game as possible. If they get a call up, amazing, they're in shape, they're ready to go. And if not, we're going to help them get ready for their next European or overseas season. Okay,
so you've had 4 seasons. Have you had a handful of players that have either gone to the W, Athletes Unlimited, or other pro leagues?
Yeah, so we've had almost actually. So we only had... we have Rebecca Harris that has played. She was a part of Athletes Unlimited. We almost had a player go, but they unfortunately got injured. They were going to get a training camp invite. But this year, we're going to make sure we have some of those players get there this year for sure. Really excited about this year. We're up-leveling everything in terms of the talent, the resources, the venue that we're playing in. So this is going to be a very attractive destination for anyone looking to play this summer and really get better.
You've partnered with our friend Jenny Wynn too from the Sports Bra. Tell me about that.
Oh my goodness. Jenny and I met maybe a few years back during WNBA All-Star, and I had been a fan and admirer of what she was able to build with the Sports Bra, because I'm looking at everybody that's contributing to this ecosystem from afar. And I tell her every time, I'm just I'm so proud of the cultural impact that you guys have been able to create with the Sports Bra and really being able to amplify stories, but, the platform of these leagues and these athletes. So we talked again. I saw her again at the NWSL championship, and I had, ran the idea by her. Right. And then I ran the idea by her again, maybe about a month ago. And at that time, it was alignment. I'm really much in this space of alignment right now. What's for me is going to be for me, and who is on the same page as me. I want them on my team, and it just clicked and it just worked at that time. So really excited that the Sports Bra and Jenny felt that this is something of value for them, just as much as we feel that is something of value for us. So we
cool.
put it together. Yeah.
Jersey logos and all that.
Yes. Yeah. It looks good. We got some, we've got them on our combine jerseys. So
cool.
Can't wait to share that with you guys.
How do you afford those trips? I do see you at different conferences and NWSL championships. Like, you're hustling, trying to play ball. You're trying to run a league and fund it. Like, where's your money coming from?
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I ref a lot.
Okay.
Like, I ref a lot. And I know a lot of people don't get to see like the behind the scenes, but like, I'm reffing, I'm coaching on the side, like wherever I can make money so that I can keep this going. Cause this is something that's like, it's tough. Especially if you don't have the right backing, but like I'm doing all of those things so that I can make sure that I continue to build this in the right way, because this is how much I believe and care about this. But, you know, playing overseas allows me to free up a lot more of my time because I'm getting paid to play. So I'm able to, you know, allocate more of my time into building the league. But this year we've started raising for pre-seed to be able to, you know, get some meaningful capital behind this, because up until this point, it's been bootstrapped.
Yeah. Sponsors at all to help pay for salaries and stuff?
Yeah. So like even before then, like players haven't been paid to play. Like they've come here based on the opportunity because, you know, one, it's a great environment, but they believe in wanting to invest in themselves, and they know if they do what they need to do and they're here, we're going to help them get to where they want to be.
Right. So it's a pre-pro situation that you're not paying them, but they know that you're helping them get to those paid gigs.
Yeah, it's the brand building, it's the professional development, like it's putting them in that network so now that they have the tools so that they can, you know, continue to build. But this year we will be paying our athletes.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you aspire to have an official relationship with the WNBA, like the G League and the NBA?
Absolutely. I think like whenever I talk to people about this, and I'm a firm believer of speaking things into existence, like that's something I want to come to fruition, but I know that there's work that needs to be done. Are we providing value to the ecosystem? Absolutely. Do I want this to, you know, this partnership to happen? Yes, because I want to create an even more linear pathway to helping players achieve their goals and aspirations of being, you know, playing in the W, or if not, like playing in these other big time leagues like Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited and Project B that's getting started. I think, you know, with us being, you know, backed by FIBA as well and being able to compete in off-season competition internationally, like that is something that is incredibly valuable to this space that I don't think anyone else is doing.
So your teams out of your league can play spun out into international competitions?
Yeah, in FIBA WBLA. So FIBA, they're a huge supporter of what we're doing because, again, it's about growing the game and being able to be within, being officially recognized within that world. Like that's huge. You only see FIBA anything whenever we see national team stuff. But now with them wanting to pour into more of the club play so that the teams are getting ready, the players are going to be in a better position to get ready for when actual national team play starts. Like that's huge. And we get to be a part of that. We're the only team in the league in the US that is able to be a part of the FIBA WBLA.
Cool. So have you had conversations with folks at the W about partnership?
I have. I've run it by them. But again, like I want them to see that my heart's in the right place when I'm building this, because at the end of the day, like alignment, the partnership is right, it's going to happen. I know there's more work for us to be done, but I know that I'm going in the right direction because, you know, we have people asking the questions. We have, you know, the players now, more players looking at this as a destination.
Yeah, it feels like, of course, the WNBA would want like proprietary everything, would want ownership of everything. So it probably would be like a purchasing of your league situation. But there's also this new Upshot League that's launching in May. Feels like they're kind of going to be a direct competitor of WPBA. What do you know about them?
I know a little, obviously, like they have their stuff that's up on their website. But again, just like any other emerging league that's coming into this space, they have to prove out their model and they have to prove that they're, you know, generating more value for the women in this ecosystem. So it's great. Like there's always going to be competition. It just makes us work that much harder to make sure we're at the top of the pack. So yeah, I'm excited for all the opportunities coming for the women's game.
Well, and it feels like with multiple leagues now sort of proving and pushing for the idea that there needs to be a G League type situation, and with so many conversations around the W's roster spots and pulling players from situations when they run short as opposed to having this feeder system, it does need to be a little bit more professionalized like it is on the men's side. So the proof is in the leagues that are building, and now it's just a matter of, the W choosing one or working with or combining a few into creating that thing that they need. You've got this first ever WPBA combine coming up during Final Four weekend in Phoenix. What's on the docket?
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. So we've invited the top 90 in NCAA this year, top 90 athletes in NCAA this year to be able to.
That aren't in the Final Four, I presume.
That aren't in the Final Four, but that are still very high on the, the roster for potential, training camp invites, right? But I'm super excited about this. A lot of time and energy has been put into putting on a very intentional production so that we can get these players to the next phase of what their careers are, right? So we've got Bridget Pettis with us. That is, that's a huge pickup for us. I had talked to her about the idea back in August when she was down here on the panel for my documentary screening. And she was like, let's do it. And I just started putting it together and we started working it all out. But we've got some really good athletes connecting, coming through. So I'm excited to see who else is in the building. We've reached out to some of the WNBA teams for them to come and, scout talent as well. But, our partners that are coming in, Thumbo, Cerebro Sports, Bauden Sports, Jesus, so many others, but, we're able to put something together where we're trying to incorporate tech and all of these health and wellness components so that we're really helping to streamline the scouting that's being done so that, teams can identify talent a lot more efficiently at the W.
So Bridget Pettis, former WNBA player, she's coming on kind of coaching and facilitating the combine?
Absolutely, as well as scouting talent and evaluating talent as well.
Cool. So then you invited folks from W teams in the hopes that some of these players that maybe aren't the obvious lottery picks for the draft might get seen as potential developmental players or folks to just be on the radar. Maybe there's some diamonds in the rough there or some talent that needs to be cultivated with a couple years work to get to that level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There's such a quick turnaround from the college game to the draft to training camp that it is the players who obviously are going to be lottery picks that everyone knows are some of the best in the world that are going to make that leap. But there is a place for folks to fall through the cracks if they're not in that group. And there's also like a fascinating thing about women is because of hormonal changes and the so-called like second puberty, a lot of women actually peak in their late 20s and early 30s physically. And yet our college system is designed and set up as if everyone is peaking at that 21, 22. And so that little gap in between might mean that a player just a couple years after graduating is actually performing at her very best. And if she drops off and doesn't have somewhere to play in the middle, you've lost someone that has tremendous opportunity and talent to play 27, 28 through 38. So this opportunity for them to get in front of some of these folks could be a really big thing to just keep them in the game, give them the affirmation that they need to believe that they're on the right path to go play elsewhere and hopefully come back around, which is really cool. Anything else you want to tell us about the league and your future plans?
Oh my goodness. Our future plans. Definitely looking to expand into different markets in the future. Yeah. I'm focused on this season, but I'm excited for what we have coming up. Looking to, be introduced to a whole new different fan base, but really excited for the players that we are going to be working with this season and, wishing everyone the best, but super appreciative of just being able to continue doing what I love.
Yeah. And you're in this very scholarly room right now speaking at Dartmouth. So there might be some people there with some funding, some connections, at the very least, some very smart, good ideas for you. So hopefully it'll all tie into this upcoming combine and the next season for the WPBA. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you.